Well, I want to thank everybody for attending tonight. This is our Thoughtful Thursdays for March. I'm very excited to talk to you tonight with our panelists about Michigan cannabis tourism trends. But actually, I'm going to hand this over tonight to Mike Brennan, who's with Michigan Marijuana Report and 420 Post. I wanted to introduce him tonight because he has accepted our communications lead position for MICHIGO. So Mike, thank you for volunteering to lead up our communications function. It's really one of the more critical functions that we have in the organization, is communicating more with the membership and with prospective members and with sponsors that we're recruiting. So I want to thank you, Mike, for taking over that role and for heading up our panel tonight. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. So she's introduced a couple of my properties. I actually have multiple ones. The one I've been doing since I left the Free Press in 1999 is Michigan Technology News, MITechNews.com, because I have been, and I readily admit, a technology writer since 1980. Yes, I'm that old. I was in the newspaper business for 20 years, roughly. And then when I left the Free Press, I decided to start my own gig, because everybody was coming to me and saying, why isn't the Free Press covering this? Why aren't you doing that? And so that was essentially my focus group. And so I used that information to start MITech News. I bootstrapped, done it all on my own. And now I have 1099 partners. I have a lot of people around the different places doing different things. So we're a little media group. We have 2 websites, 2 newsletters, 3 streaming video shows, and from time to time I'm on WJR's Internet Advisor. So that's my background. And let me pull up my poop sheet here on everybody. I have a panel. So we have Michael Webster is the founder and managing member of Experivent. Did I get that right? Experivent, thank you. A licensed cannabis company in Michigan. Former NYC legacy operator Michael left for the rapidly expanding Midwest cannabis market. Ain't that the truth? We're probably going to do $3 billion here in Michigan this year. He holds licenses, a cannabis event organizing license, which is currently, he deploys in production of licensed cannabis events that feature consumption and retail sales. He's also, his company is a pioneer in the cannabis event space and is pursuing multi-state operation. I've been working since 7 this morning, so if I'm a little tongue-tied, gas is running out. We also have Chef Marjorie, who is a private chef who hosts events. She also is the owner and executive chef for Divine Epicurean and Entertainment, which is her catering company, and owner of, is it Demarage LLC, an upscale members only cannabis lifestyle club, which she tells me is not yet open, but hopefully will soon, right, Marjorie? Okay. Andrew Mcfarland is the founder and CEO of the Michigan Cannabis Trail, which is dedicated to connecting authentic Michigan cannabis experiences. And Andrew and I have known each other, I don't know, 20 years, Andrew, maybe. So Lisa, many moon. So Lisa Altschuler-Liberman is the founder of HG Collective, which links cannabis enthusiasts with friendly lodging, meals, events, and classes. And your first community just outside Ann Arbor is going to be opening sometime this year. And she serves as the chair and co-founder of MICHIGO. So there you have it. So what we're going to talk about today, and I'm just going to kind of keep the flow going here, is the cannabis report, the cannabis tourism report that came out earlier this year. And so what I'm going to ask is all the well, I think this kind of works. Since we have a small group, Lisa, we could probably stay with this. I'm just asking you, if you're not asking a question, and you can ask a question quite simply. There's a button if you look at your dashboard that says raise hand. I'm going to do that right now so you can see it. So once we get through the presentation, if you have any questions you want to ask, the other thing you can do is put those questions in the chat box. You will see that there's actually a couple of things in there right now. So, but the way Zoom works is if you make a noise, the camera comes to you. So those not right now in the panel discussion, please mute. I think you're all muted. and I'll turn it back over to the panel folks who have provided me with some questions they want me to ask them.
Yeah, and I think, Mike, Lisa's going to just walk us through some of the highlights of our report as well.
All right, sounds great. Go ahead, take it, Lisa.
All right. Let me toggle over to the report itself. And I had this up just a second ago, and of course, it is gone. All right. All right, so let me talk to you a little bit about the Traveler Report. By the way, you can download this yourself from MICHIGO.org. If you go straight to our homepage, there is a form that you can fill out so that you can download this report for yourself. It is chock full of data that we've used to pull together this report from a survey of just about 200 people. And the reason that we put this together was we thought there was a lack of data in the state of Michigan about the potential cannabis tourism opportunities. Now, why do we want to do this? We really wanted to be able to provide our members and ourselves really as businesses with data that we can use to convince municipalities to do more events, to have more lodging opportunities, to bring all those potential tourism opportunities to their communities. And so armed with data, we thought that we could provide this to our members as well as to the public to see there is a huge opportunity in this space. If you think about some of the other areas of our industry that are growing, as Mike mentioned, sales last month are through the roof in Michigan, and we see month over month that continues to happen. But what we're also seeing is while sales are going up, we're seeing the product prices actually come down. And so profit margins are less when you're talking about businesses that touch the plant. On the tourism side, however, this is so new in Michigan and really across the country that we have a really unique opportunity to take advantage of a growing portion of the industry that is virtually unknown so far, and it can explode just like some of the plant touching type businesses have so far. So I just wanted to highlight some of the insights that we found as part of the report. Again, I encourage you to download the entire thing so that you can take a look at the data that came out of this and some specific insights. But the top 3 things we learned are cannabis-friendly lodging is king and queen, to make a pun. Cannabis-friendly lodging was the most consistently desired option in the tourism and hospitality space amongst all age groups. And clearly there is not enough of that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm in that space. But as well as festivals and events, that was highly desired across all age groups, all income levels. And so people really want more festivals and events going forward. And then 2, as I mentioned, higher dispensary sales are a chance to lift Michigan tourism. So again, the sales numbers keep going up at dispensaries month over month. We have an opportunity in this state to capitalize on a hospitality and tourism view of cannabis. We know that the big companies, they're not going to embrace that. You're not going to see Marriott come into the space for lodging anytime soon. You're not going to see HGTV having their home and garden events with cannabis, but we can certainly fill this space. So those are our insights. And so to kick that off, I'm going to hand it back over to Mike so that we can talk through some of these insights with our panelists and see how it's going to evolve in 2022 in our tourism and hospitality space. So I'll stop sharing, and Mike, hand that back over to you.
Thanks, Lisa. So let's start with you. You're from that state down south that we don't mention in Ann Arbor, and have chosen to launch a cannabis-friendly village near Ann Arbor. Why is that?
Well, the report really explains it all. Obviously, when I saw the results of the study, the report, I should say rather, when I saw the results, I was really pleased with my decision to move. I personally, I've been all around the country with my company Edibles. I've been as far west as Oregon, as far south as Florida, and there is no more open marketplace, I believe, in the country than Michigan. I feel that the state, while of course every state and has its challenges with rolling out adult use cannabis to the masses, I feel like Michigan has done a pretty decent job compared to the other states. And as you see, Michigan already has some festivals and events going on. And in my estimation, lodging, as somebody who comes from the state down south to the events up north, lodging was a missing component for me personally. And so I decided to take the opportunity and try to help fill that space in Michigan. And as a result of that, I've met all the wonderful people on this call and found a lot of us that are also interested in exploring the tourism and hospitality area. And I think there is so much opportunity in Michigan. And I really think, you know, the other Midwestern state that's doing this is Illinois. And I think that Michigan, it far surpasses what Illinois is doing right now. So that's why I came to Michigan, and I'm excited to hear about all the other things that are going on in the state as we evolve this way.
Yeah, Mike, I hate to jump on you, but Lisa discovered a really interesting fact when she was for the report, when she was researching it, about how many, you know, how many people are within, you know, what? Go ahead, Lisa. You know.
No, go ahead, Andy. No, you
well,
know
I
this.
can't remember it, but I know it's your stuff.
It's within the number of people in towns that are over 1,000 people, right? So small to giant cities. The driving distance of 5 hours, just 5 hours in the car to get to Detroit, which is what we use as the home base. We have over 40 million people in that radius, 40 million people that can drive to Michigan and enjoy cannabis. New York City only has 30 million people within their drivable population. So the point being that there are a lot of people from the surrounding states. We've got Indiana, we've got, I'll say Illinois again, even though they have adult use. You've got Wisconsin, and again, Ohio, but even as far south as West Virginia, Pennsylvania. We have a very drivable footprint in Michigan. And right now, with people not wanting to get on planes, and now even with, you know, the cost of fuel going up, it's still going to be cheaper to load your family that enjoys cannabis into your car and drive to Michigan. So I think that's a great point, Andy. There are a lot of people that can easily get to Michigan. There's all the water, you know, as somebody who's not a native, I think the state is absolutely gorgeous. And of course, with the economy being the way it's been with COVID and how it's hit the tourism and hospitality sector so hard, embracing cannabis is, to me, an obvious way to bring more money to the state.
And certainly tourism is the #2 industry in the state, advised with agriculture, depending on the year, but it's either 2 or 3, depending on the year. I think it's a bit down, obviously, because of the pandemic, but from my just firsthand experience, everybody's so antsy after being locked up for 2 years that I think it's going to be a banner year for tourism in Michigan. And of course,
Just
we don't
in
want to
general.
forget about our Canadian cousins. It's cannabis is totally legal nationally in Canada. And there's a lot of people that still go over to Windsor, but crossing the border is such a hassle, right? Why do that when you can buy the cannabis here? I mean, we got it all covered. We got medical marijuana, we got adult use marijuana. They're talking about psychedelics now, all sorts of stuff. I mean, we're going to be like the next Oregon here, I think, as we begin to move forward. So a lot of opportunity. And certainly that's one of the reasons that we're very interested in my little media group and getting involved in that as well. Now, earlier we heard from Andrew, who is my counterpart. He's been a longtime friend. He's been doing Michigan Cannabis Trail for how long, Andrew? Get on mute.
For 3 years now.
3
Somehow
years.
I'm just learning Zoom.
Okay, yeah. And so how do you feel about the findings of the report as they're reflected in what you're seeing through that at the Michigan Cannabis Trail?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the findings of the report, like we released the report at the Michigan Festivals and Events Conference last year in November, and I checked at the end of the year, and 4 of my top 10 searches through Google that brought people to the Michigan Cannabis Trail were either lodging or camping. And right now it's 5, and there's 2 more that are just outside of it. So people are definitely looking for that lodging information. Our 420 friendly lodging and camping page, where we're listing 420 friendly lodging and camping businesses for free, it's always within the top 5 most popular pages on the site. And sometimes it tops even, like, the listing of West Michigan dispensaries or something like that, so it's definitely, people are going for the lodging, and the events are just the same. Our calendar is super popular. We see a lot of people come in to looking for event information, and it's like out of our email newsletters, it's always, the most clicked stories are usually events or consumption lounges. So, I think there's a real palpable hunger in the market for the enjoyment of cannabis. And, while Lisa said at this point, those big hotel lodging chains aren't going to be getting into cannabis, but, Pabst just opened a facility to make cannabis drinks. It is not going to be long before you see big hotel chains jumping into this, because it's a slice of the travel market that's way too big to ignore.
I think part of the problem is cannabis is still a Schedule I drug, and that scares off a lot of the big players. We see it in a lot of banks in particular. That's why we've got the Safe Banking Act that they keep trying to pass, and sort of goes forward and then 1 step forward, 2 steps back. The MORE Act, by the way, is going to be brought up in Congress tomorrow, at least in the House. I think it'll pass the House. Whether it passes the Senate, it's hard to say. Depends on Mitch McConnell whether he wants it to or not, right? And so, yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on. It's still a pretty nascent market, and it's going to take a little bit for the big players to come in, which is fine, because that means there's lots of room then for the much smaller players, which are typically what you find in Michigan. I mean, there certainly is a lot of hotel chains here, but there's a lot of mom and pop operations too. And then, that's good for them, right? So Marjorie, as someone who's been in the cannabis space since the beginning, what do you think are some of the biggest changes you've seen so far?
Well, some of the things I've seen on the positive side are is more people who are opening up their commercial space for cannabis friendly events. Also, on a positive note, I mean, MRA has lowered fees, so it helps us, that's small businesses that are part of social equity, be able to get into the business. Some of the challenges that I have seen, MRA changing rules on a regular basis, me being a legacy Detroiter and social equity certified person, that has been a challenge, trying to use my legacy Detroiter in Detroit. And really just keeping since I am a chef and cooking is my thing, so trying to keep MRA guidelines in line with my Serve Safe guidelines, in line with my tip certification guidelines. I'm sorry, y'all. My dog keep trying to get in he want to get on camera too. So that's been most of the changes that I've seen, though.
Okay. And let's go to Michael here. Let me pull up his question. I'm manipulating the board here. As an event producer, what are some trends you've noticed in the event space just in 2022?
Sure. Thanks for the question. And thanks to you, Mike, and the rest of the panel for having me. I really appreciate it. So, we advanced this idea of cannabis event 1.0, and we fashion ourselves as cannabis event 2.0, where cannabis consumption events have traditionally been centered around a featured guest, cannabis itself, right? So what we're envisioning, what our model is advancing, is a model where clients and attendees can activate an experience using cannabis as an ingredient and not necessarily the product. So the product is the experience. I think the report had something valuable for everyone except the naysayers. We did not see, we're not seeing a Red Sea like parting, but we do see that the space is broadening. And that has a lot to do with the data, the financial data, consumption data, demo, psycho, and ethnographic data. All this stuff is available. There's been enough operational time to look back at this data and inform, further market penetration. So what we're seeing municipalities move off of the fence. Some of them not necessarily opted out, but just chose not to opt. And we're seeing more municipalities opt in. We're seeing more municipalities soften up, to the argument. And again, it's the financial data. When they see their neighboring municipalities getting that check from the MRA, I think they're doing a double take. So, and mostly what we're seeing is a target-rich environment where producers like myself can partner, strategic partners like Grassy Knolls Farms out in Muskegon. Great folks, great dispensary. I suggest you stop by and check them out. But the ability to connect with partners like that in furtherance of a bigger goal. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that the ecosystem is developing in a way that we could get these symbiotic relationships in place and not necessarily these parasitic relationships that we used to see. So again, driven by the data.
All right. So what I'm going to do now, we have Cornell came in late, so he didn't hear me kind of give it in the instructions. I like to open it up for questions, but what I like to do, there's a button on your dashboard that says raise hand. If you have a question you want to ask any of the panelists, just raise your hand and then unmute, and then just say which panelist you want to adjust the question to. Simple enough. So I'm sure there's folks out there that have questions. Feel free to raise your hand. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, Lisa, yes, go ahead. I'll let you go first. Unmute.
All right, so this question is for Michael.
Yes.
So, as I've seen events go on, and really it was only last summer because of the pandemic, most of what I'm seeing are like concerts and festivals. What are you seeing that's evolving, maybe different from that this summer? Because I see a whole bunch of events out there now.
Sure, great question. And it just really gives an opportunity to differentiate between what I was calling that cannabis event 1.0, where folks are just being corralled into a common space and maybe there's some music and there's combustion. There's a place for that, but with the recent laws and relaxation and legalization, folks can do that at home. So what we're looking to do is bring that sort of otherwise unattainable or unreachable experience, pairing, again, cannabis with the impactful, experiential adventure, trying to meet the client or the attendee where they are. One of my catchphrases is, we'll meet you at the edge of your imagination. So really just bound by resource and imagination. We believe that anywhere alcohol has enjoyed shelf space or opportunity, that cannabis can be, cannabis can supplant that, even if not, enjoy, share the space, but possibly supplant it in ways that make for better outcomes. We talked about the data. There's enough data out in my nice little niche space that arms me with an argument for venue owners that if you allow cannabis consumption as opposed to alcohol consumption, your repair, your cleanup, your criminal liability, all those things go way down because we just want to light up and relax and enjoy the event. So yeah, we're seeing the event evolve, and we fashion ourselves as being a big part of that, being at the center and driving that, where cannabis is the featured guest. I'm sorry, not the featured guest, but the ingredient or the concierge. And what we're really going after is the experience. So we got a lot of stuff coming up this summer that brings us to those two intersections. Canna Carnival. We've got some other exciting outdoor events. I don't want to spill the beans, but we've got a lot of stuff that's going to justify why you're paying that ticket price and why you're coming out and doing something that you ordinarily would have been able to do at home.
Yeah, we got a whole slug of events. We cover that in just in April alone. I can think of a half a dozen events. A lot of them are keyed to 420. or around 420, one side or the other. I heard we have the Reggae Festival in Ypsilanti at the end of the month. Looking forward to that. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. We just don't know. It's Michigan, right? And of course, Saturday is the Hash Bash Monroe Street Fair. That'll be 20 or 30,000 friends of cannabis joining. And the thing I've noticed, I've covered a lot of events in my career. I was just at the big Mardi Gras party on March 1st that Jamie Cooper threw in Lansing. There was 1,000 people in that room. And if you would have had 1,000 drinkers in that room, it'd have been a whole different vibe. And it was the most mellow crowd. Everybody's walking around with a big smile on their face. It really is a game changer. And I think it's a big educational process at this point. A lot of these merchants, they just, maybe they don't smoke, never been around smokers. All they hear are these horror stories, reefer madness, so that's part of the process, I think. So, Andrea, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was actually gonna, there was a question in the chat from Janet to me asking how we can add events to the calendar. And ultimately, we're working right now on an event submission form. But at this point, you can just email them to me at farlane@gmail.com. And assuming I don't hate the idea, I'll add it to the calendar. But I did want to ask a question in the event that Anna won't feel ambushed. And I was going to ask her if she could just weigh in on what she's seen with cannabis wellness travel.
And unmute.
I'm off mute.
Okay, good.
I have had a few inquiries, and also was someone reached out to me that has the Canadian equivalent of Airbnb, and they found me. I talked to them on Clubhouse when Clubhouse first came out. They were trying to launch their business and trying to create cannabis travel for Canadians into the US. And she just recently reached out to me again and said that she's really interested in expanding the market and bringing Canadians to the state of Michigan because we have a lot to offer. Originally, they were going to focus their business out in California, but I thought for people in Ontario, which they're based in, it makes more sense to be able to drive to Michigan. A lot of people from Ontario I know already drive to northern Michigan for the golfing and the boating and cottage country. So it just makes sense for them to try to focus on Michigan and getting more people listing their places in Michigan. So I will be listing my place soon on there. And I do have a little bit of interest from some people that I've been talking to online from Ohio who are interested in coming up for nursing wellness, groups of nurses actually who are interested in talking about cannabis and wellness. And so I'm working with some people in hopes that we can get their group up here, just depending on the availability. And we're quite busy with Airbnb all summer long, and people are very happy when they find that we're 420 friendly. It just creates they'll kind of cautiously ask, even though I try to put it on the website, you have to be careful with Airbnb. They're not always receptive to that. So when people come, as soon as they show up, I'll just say, hey, just letting you know we're 420 friendly, and I get people looking at each other and smiling going, hey. And now that Gaylord is finally getting quite a few dispensaries here, it's going to be just a natural thing for me to be able to refer to some local dispensaries, have some partnerships and say, hey, this is a great place to shop, that people will take good care of you. Go make your purchases, come on back, we're going to light a fire, you can sit out here, listen to the frogs and enjoy your cannabis. So people are happy and pleasantly surprised when they didn't realize we're 420 friendly. And for the most part, I haven't had anybody kind of turn their nose up at it. So.
Well, and Anna, just to add to that, I swear, Anna, I did not pay her for that. She was talking about High B&B. They will be our speaker on our next Thoughtful Thursday next month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they have reached out to us in partnering, and they are very committed, like you said, to bringing their service to the state of Michigan. The thing that I like about them is they have the B&B end of it, but they also allow us to do event ticketing on there, and they will act as the payment processor because they can do so in Canada. I don't want to steal her pitch for next month, but she'll be coming in next month to talk to our members about their services. But I was really impressed with how easy they are to work with, how thoughtful they are of cannabis clients. For example, I scoured their website. You know, on Airbnb, the amenities are things like a hair dryer and a toothbrush and air conditioning. Well, they have all those too, but they also have, do we have pipes? Do we have bongs? Things like that, which was, I thought that was pretty cool. So Anna, since you do wellness type tourism, I would like to see them develop out some wellness type check boxes for amenities on there too. So I think they would be open to our membership, to helping them make their platform better. But to also, I know they're going to be offering us all a referral, 10% of their bookings. So just wanted to let everybody know, since Anna's already heard from them, that we'll all be hearing from them next month.
Yay, that's awesome.
I might add that your friends in Kalkaska have devoted that whole town practically to being cannabis friendly. And having grown, my mother grew up in Petoskey. So as a kid, I was always up in that area. I'm just amazed how Kalkaska has changed, right? So
I believe it's called Kalkushka now.
Oh, Kalkishka. Okay, got it. All right.
But they're opening a consumption lounge sometime in April.
Yep.
You know, so they've got all the license and everything. They got the facility. It's all approved. They just got to get it through. So I mean, this is really the summer that canna tourism takes off in Michigan. I mean, fingers crossed, you know. Should have probably been 2 summers ago, but
Yeah.
You know, control
Double cross.
Really.
All right. I
Well,
see.
Andy,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lisa.
I was just going to say, Andy, there's some other lounges opening up too. Is that correct? I saw Hazel Park is about to open a lounge.
Yeah, I believe
Tresenda.
Hazel Park is open now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Hot Box
Yeah.
Social is open, but they're not open to the public. They're just open to private events right now. So we're looking to exploit that window before they start opening to the public this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, I think that's one of the key things to highlight through this is just how much the cannabis space can, kind of lock in with traditional lodging business, outdoor recreation, all kinds of features of the Michigan, tourism product. And I think, one of the big things is that people in the state of Michigan, they travel all over the place. I mean, I take 2/3 of my vacations in Michigan just because there's so much to do. So I think we've got it. We just gotta now get out there and keep it.
Yeah.
it's such a good point too. The focus inside the state. There's so much availability of business inside the state. To your point there, Andy. I'm looking at bringing bus trips in from Ohio to some of the events, but the problem is, and our place isn't open yet, the problem is lodging, and continues to be for those of us who come in from out of state. So I'm hoping to help that area, but I think that's going to continue to be an issue.
So, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, even in Ann Arbor, where I'm located, they're just announcing, and I think New Standard is doing one of the local hotels they're going to work with to have a couple of cannabis friendly rooms. But that's the only one that I'm aware of. And here, you can't swing a dead cat in this town without hitting something that's cannabis, right? So, I mean, I just figured if we were going to lead the way, right? But so far, it's been pretty slow. So
Yeah.
It makes a good argument for normalization, right? So we if we track cannabis from us wanting rescheduling or descheduling, we've seen decriminalization, we've seen legalization in some capacities, but normalization is going to be that hurdle. When you talk about consumption lounges, no one wants to go home smelling like smoke. So form factor is going to be, key to the debate about, Andy talked about the beverage. The beverage is cannabis 3.0. If flower and vape were 1.0 and isolates and distillates were 2.0, the beverage is clearly 3.0 and is poised to really open up the market to those who, can't get past the stigma or, just don't want to smell like smoke all the time. So I think there's some real conversations to be had about form factor. I think Gen Z, the data bears out that flower is not king with that generation. It is with us, but they're looking for different form factors. So I think there's real opportunity to tackle this normalization through, what I like to call experiential learning, the experiential learning component to cannabis consumption, showing folks that, here's a beverage, 15-minute onset, 2-hour high, no crash, you're fine afterwards. So once we get those into the conversation, then I think you'll see things like consumption lounges coming on at a much more rapid rate.
But I think to your point earlier, Michael, cannabis used to be the feature, right? Because it was underground. And if I could take that cannabis and use it out somewhere, it was almost like, oh, I'm doing this thing that's bad.
Yeah, it was risque.
And it's risque, right? And it's exciting. Now, as we move on into cannabis 2.0 and 3.0, it's everywhere. So how do you differentiate yourself as a hospitality provider that incorporates cannabis? And how do you compete against everybody else that is now starting to do that? How do you offer that experience? How is it more than just, I'm able to light up somewhere? What other thing entices me to be part of that?
Yeah, I think, again, it's the experience that you're offering or ultimately delivering, hopefully, if you're executing well. If you're delivering that experience, then you're not relegating cannabis to the wayside, but you're putting it in context that I'm enjoying, hot air ballooning, maybe tethered because the FAA won't let us get high while high. But these other experiences, Annie's events, the trails, the river events, everything, we can do all that and pair it with cannabis and not be, just focus on that. I think that risque factor has kind of come and gone. When I think about the culture of cannabis, I can recall being in some of the most conservative places in the Deep South, but because I was committed to cannabis culture, I found a way. And I do not recall ever experiencing that kind of disruption where it was inaccessible. Of course, it's, more accessible in a safe way. But to really drill down and answer your question, at least I think education is the vehicle. I think every time we talk about cannabis, whether we're talking about medical cannabis or recreational, there's an opportunity, it's a teachable moment. And when we can start to knock down things like the categorizations, indica sativa hybrid, that's laughable at this point, right? We know it's about the terpene profile. We know it's about the entourage effect and not about a short stubby plant or a tall, lanky plant. It's, or something in between. That's not where the information is. So we lead with the data. We educate, and sometimes, like when you were a kid and, your parents would find some creative way to get you to take your medicine. I think we can do that for the naysayers as well. Sort of come in under the radar with couched in education and knock down a lot of these stereotypes.
Good.
Thank
All
you for
right.
that.
So questions. So we have half a dozen folks that have been observing. Do any of you in that audience have questions for the panelists or anyone? If so, just unmute and have your video come live.
It's like Marjorie's got her hand up.
Oh, I didn't have a question. I was gonna piggyback on what Michael was saying, but I didn't want to interrupt the other Mike.
Please, I need help.
Wait.
I didn't see the hand ups. Forgive me. So
Oh
go
no,
ahead.
you okay? You okay? I just wanted to add on to what Mike was saying about events. I do a lot of private events, and I noticed that there is still a lot of, although cannabis is out in the open, there are a lot of professionals and executives, judges, lawyers, etc., that come to my events who enjoy being able to be free, but in a private setting, so to speak. Although it is widely open to everybody because of the type of industry or job that they do cannot freely partake in an open setting at all times. There are a few who still, although it's not taboo anymore, they still are like, no, who gonna be there type of of thing. I don't want to get, busted or, you know, thrown off the bench because I'm a federal judge and I'm up in here, you know, doing my thing. So,
Despite the law being on their side.
right.
Literally,
Marge, you
yeah.
make a great point. We have to do away with the shadows. We have to dump sunlight into these shadows, and that's going to facilitate normalization. As long as we give particularly privileged people shadows to kind of hover and cower, and there's no incentive really for them to move legislatively or, you know, at the municipal, state, clearly not the federal level. But yeah, we have the, and we have the opportunity to change the dynamic, to remove those pillars and those shadows. And I think all that begins and ends with education.
So Marge, how does someone find out about you that's in that type of situation? How, you know, marketing is really hard in this space, even in tourism and hospitality. I, for one, have been shut down by my bank a couple of times. So I'm interested to know how you get out to people like that who maybe are not your traditional cannabis client.
Well, majority of my events are private events, meaning I don't give out the location of where we're going to be. There's no ticket sales at the door. So if I am using a commercial place who may not be licensed technically for consumption, but you know, that's where we ride that fine line of food.
Right.
They usually either like find me on like Instagram, because under my Chef Marjorie brand, I advertise everything that I do. That way, if you're looking for a private, intimate event, you know, I'm planning one, or you can call me to plan yours. When I am involved in big events, I post that so they kind of get an idea of, okay, I could do this, or I could do that, or I can do it all.
Right.
And I advertise everything under my Chef Marjorie brand, although they all have their own individualities. But depending on what you're looking for, whether it's exclusivity, you prefer to be in small crowds or you prefer to be in a big crowd, you know, it just depends on your preference.
And how do you stay on the right side of the line with social media? Are there certain words that you don't use or certain words that you do use that don't get you into trouble when you're doing the marketing?
I always say nothing for sale. You know, we use colorful names like our 4-course infused dinner party, we call it Taste Buds. For when I do the psychedelics, it's called Girls Trip. So you kind of got to read in between the lines, but now most people automatically know, like, we know that's we. I mean, there is always something small in there that signifies, even if there is not a weed leaf on the flyer, there is something there that lets you know that this is like cannabis. I don't even put like 420 friendly on it anymore. I just
if you know, you know.
Right. Occasionally they'll call me and ask a question. You know, I do Q&As I have a private group, so I do Q&As there. So if you have a question about anything that I'm doing or that you want to do but that you haven't done yet because you're scared, like there's a lot of people who don't know if they can handle infused food, because that's completely different than an infused, you know, gummy or a piece of candy, because now you're eating a full meal, and if the meal is good, you're not going to want to stop eating. So how did you keep yourself from getting too high, right?
Well, and that's, you know, that's back to what Michael said about education. You know, there's a broader scope of education just about, you know, cannabis, hospitality in general, but there's that very down to the details, to the individual of what are some of the proper ways to consume, especially with people that are brand new to all of this. I love that you give people guidance and that you help them along, because that's what they're going to need for a while.
I agree.
Thank you, Marge. I didn't mean to dominate that, but those are questions that I know a lot of us have issues with social media, and I know that's a way that a lot of us do our marketing. And I was just curious as to how you handle all that. Thank you.
No problem. And you have to be really, really creative when you're dealing in social media. And even though you're selling stuff, you still gotta say it's not for sale.
Right, right.
And another thing that I have found to be useful that I did not notice before, which stops me from getting banned on Instagram, is that my page is you have to be 21 and over. But because for my the cannabis consumption membership portion, you have to be over 25. So when I make those posts, I can actually put in there like only show it to people who's over 25 years old.
Oh, okay.
So they're kind of making it a little bit easier. So you have to really target your market and your audience and who you're going after. Facebook is still kind of iffy. You may
Problematic.
you may get booted just because you said I like weed, or
Right.
Facebook sucks today, and then next thing you know, you banned for 60 days. Facebook will ban you for something you did 2 years ago. Like, what's the statute of limitations here? No.
So are you saying then that Instagram has been your most successful social media channel or something else?
I want to say it's a combination. The younger people find me on Instagram. The people, older people and people my age and older, they're all on Facebook. Like I have, and that's kind of why I end up making. I have no personal page no more. Everything is business because no one follows the actual business, but they follow the chef.
Okay. All right.
So I kind of had to like see how people were finding me and stuff. Every now and then, some people have found me doing a Google search because Divine Epicurean will pop up sometimes, and sometimes my Instagram page will just pop up. So it's you kind of got to kind of like you did with we did with the cannabis tourism. You kind of got to look at your your audience and what's IG and Facebook give you all those statistics of what you need, and you kind of it may change because the what they call it in
The algorithm.
the algorithm changes from month to month on what you can use, what you can't use, what's going to draw people, and what's not going to draw people. But videos always draw people. Reels and videos get people in. I've learned that. Somebody taught me that. I didn't know that at first.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge because that's why I asked. Thank you.
So Andy just raised his hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in, and we were kind of at the end of this. We're approaching the end of it, but we just wanted to kind of open it up for people to, give a quick shout out to something that they are working on or involved with. I wanted to start, and I'm gonna like hand it over to Brian. But tomorrow from 2 to 3, I am going to be a part of their cannabis lodging webinar. And so go ahead, Brian. Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. Definitely. Yeah.
Got video
yeah,
there, Brian?
I actually don't on this PC. Yeah. This one is the backup one because the other
He's
one's
incredibly handsome.
sick.
Okay. Well, just
Yeah,
have to look you up online. So
We'll
go
see
ahead.
him tomorrow at his webinar.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, there you
it's
go.
like
Okay.
Fabio, but better.
Yeah.
So I'm the facility supervisor for Dune Grass in Marquette. It's a retail cannabis dispensary. And we're doing this webinar tomorrow on vacation rentals marketing themselves as cannabis friendly. We've kind of put together this webinar and a bunch of other pieces that we've been producing to help vacation rental operators market themselves as cannabis friendly. We've got pieces on different amenities, strategies for marketing, strategies for protecting their rentals, stuff like that. And it kind of dovetails with some other projects we're going to be working on this year in the cannabis event space. So if anybody is interested in sitting in on that, it's obviously completely free. It's at 2:00 tomorrow. I will put the website address in the chat over here, but it's very simply dunegrass.co/Marquette. And it's at 2 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. Should take maybe a half an hour, but Andy is one of the panelists on it. We've also got the West Michigan Tourist Association. Dan Sipple, the executive director, is going to be on the panel as well with me. And it should be a good time. So come along.
Thank you, Brian. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, Lisa, it's going to be awesome.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Is there going to be a replay for that? I have clients all afternoon.
There
and
absolutely will be. We are going to record it. So Anna, if you go onto the website, just register for it. So we've got your email address, and we'll send you all of the information along with the video after the event.
Okay, perfect. I have registered, but then my schedule suddenly filled up, and which is a good thing. So
Yeah,
I'm open for a
absolutely.
replay.
I
Cool.
see George Lynch has raised his hand. Let's take him next, and we'll go to Bill Shaw after that.
Yeah, we really don't have an event or anything like that, but we got something pretty cool that we're going to try to do for the city of Niles. And the city of Niles is definitely, we're trying to help them bring themselves back as much as we possibly can. And my daughter has been really, who's here, Katie. I think everybody knows Katie. She's been
I'm
really
gonna call.
doing
Can I
a
call
great
you back?
job trying to find a muralist. And we have just commissioned a muralist to create I think it's 15 feet by 20 feet.
I think it's bigger than that.
Yeah, no, 15 feet tall, 20 feet wide on the side of our building, a mural. And of course, it will not resemble cannabis, but will resemble cannabis. And right in the middle of that thing will be a nice green cross, because they wouldn't let me put my logo there. But this guy is a very well-known artist in the South Bend, Northern Indiana, Southwest Michigan area. And when he puts his name on something, and when he puts his look on something, Katie found him. I don't know how she found him.
He came to us.
Oh, he came to us?
He saw the side of the building and knew it could be an art piece and wanted to work with us.
And there we go. So we commissioned him, and he starts painting this next week, probably. And if the weather's good, and he's not going to have it done by 4:20, but he'll be pretty close. But it's going to be a place for people to come. Not only are we the largest provisioning center in Southwest Michigan, but we're right next to Notre Dame, and right next to the Indiana border, and right next to all the wine country, and right next to all the orchards and everything else like that. So when people are coming through and they're looking for their weed, they're going to come check out this huge mural. There's nothing like that in the entire Southwest Michigan area that we know of. That he's a muralist, so he knows, and so we're excited. We're trying to make ourselves a little bit more of a destination, since we see a lot of people from Illinois. I think Katie's told you this before, that starting in June through September, every month for the last 2 summers, we have had somebody from every state in the United States and Canada and Mexico and several other countries drive through our facility because of our proximity to 80-90. And so it's interesting. But yeah, so we're trying to become a destination. We're trying to be a little touristy. So that's it.
Bill?
Well, hi guys, I'm Bill Shaw, and I'm just a little bit player in this scheme of things. George, just finishing up financing a really unique project in Niles, Michigan. It's going to be a great grow facility that we're really kind of excited about. But I do work in the finance, credit card, and POS system, and I've kind of hitched my wagon to the magnificent Michael Webster, and doing some fun projects with him. But all I can tell you is that Andrew said this will be the summer of cannabis, I guess, after a couple of years having this thing going on. And all I can tell you is, Lisa, that as these events around the state unfold, just follow the money in terms of what ones were successful because they were cannabis friendly, as opposed to the ones that were not cannabis friendly, and seeing what that happened. So it's going to be interesting to see how successful all of these events. I've talked to Michael a little bit about what goes on in the state of Michigan. Michael Brennan and I spent some time up in Petoskey got relatives live up there and absolutely love it up there. So it's follow the money. That was the key for me this summer on all these events, and really, I guess you should.
Well, that's the entrepreneur's creed, is follow the money, so that's what we've been doing for a long time.
Anyways,
I'll tell
that's
you
my
too,
2 cents.
To add on to that, Bill, this is the first announcement on this. We are, as MICHIGO, creating a AAA style membership card that our paid members can participate in, and our sponsors as well, to get the word out to consumers and to more people. So Andy and I have that in development right now. We are planning to launch that by the end of the year. And we're hoping that MICHIGO becomes an even bigger part of getting the word out about tourism and hospitality in our state, and look forward to releasing more information about that membership card here as we get into the summer.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
I like that idea.
Soon. And then Michael Webster, I know you have an event coming up. Do you want to tell us about that? I know we have to jump here in a minute.
Pleasure. I wanted to keep the conversation focused on, our work in the space, but at the end of the day, we're entrepreneurs and trying to make some money. So our inaugural event is coming up June 18th and 19th. That's Father's Day weekend out in Burton, Michigan at the IMA Brookwood Golf Course. We're having a cannabis-friendly Canna Golf event. Chef March is going to be offering a full dinner that Saturday evening. And our landing page is up, so please go visit, register. It's Canvas. So that's CANNVAS, Canvas with 2 N's, events.com. You can register, and we'll be alerting everyone to selling tickets soon. So there's all types of, it's a couple of different products. There's twosomes, foursomes, spectators, and dinner guests. So we're expecting a lot of fun. It is a private event, but it'll be cannabis friendly, and we'll have consumption. And for our golfers and non-golfers alike, please come out.
Mel, you've been here. I know you have a big event coming up.
I was just getting ready to talk about it.
All right.
I didn't see that she was on here. I was just about to say.
You go ahead, Marge. You tell us.
Okay.
Mel.
Oh, there she go.
Yeah. Hey, and this is actually Nancy. Mel had to run out for a phone call real quick, but
Hi, Nancy.
yeah, we do have our event coming up. It's our Reggae by the Riverside. It's going to be April 30th. We're very excited about everything that we have to offer. Chef Marge is going to be there along with Chef Dusty, providing food for the VIP tent. And we learned a lot from last year, and we're making it more of a, and I think everybody has mentioned that it's more of an experience than just the whole option of just smoking cannabis, or you could do that anywhere. You want to have it so that it's exciting for everyone. And we also try to draw in the crowd that may be a little hesitant to go into the dispensaries or, find a bud tender that maybe they can connect with. And this gives them an opportunity to, really engage and find out additional information. So we're very excited about it. Ticket sales are going on right now. And that is and we have Kamani Marley, who will be there along with several different reggae artists. And then we're going to have a couple other big announcements that'll be coming up. We just partnered with it's a Jamaican ganja travel. So we'll be doing a trip giveaway for every one of our events as well. And it's everything that's very ganja friendly, and it's down in Jamaica. And, hopefully we could do the same thing for resorts and locations here in Michigan. So I was excited to hear about the bed and breakfast, because the more we can get individuals to realize what opportunities are out there and what they could participate in, the better it is for all of us. So so thank you for allowing us to announce what we are doing and things that are coming up.
I know we're a little over, but I'm enjoying the conversation. I know, Janet, you've got your hand up, and I think you have an event coming up too. So, if you want to go, feel free. I'm going to stick around. Feel free to wind down with the smoke while you're on camera. Nobody here minds. So whoever wants to go
Why don't
Yeah,
we
I
go
wanna-
with
I wanna-
Janet? Go ahead. Take it away.
All right. Well, hi, I'm Janet Tombre from Grand Rapids. If you guys don't know who I am, we own the Grassy Knoll. We've been a CBD shop for 5 years. Just recently got our dispensary up in Muskegon. So we're the first container building in Muskegon. So if anybody has any links to like architectural tours, I think our cannabis facility would be really cool to be kind of on a tour like that. So if anybody has any ideas about that, I'd really love to hear them. But our 420 event is going to be really fantastic. So next to our dispensary, we have bought 5 acres of land so we can hold private consumption events there. So our 420 event, we have Prim DJ coming. We have a Nashville artist coming. We're going to do partnering up with Michael to do an expungement booth. We're also partnering up with a no-kill animal shelter called Noah's Project. So they're actually going to bring animals to the event, and people who sponsor our events, part of their sponsorship is going towards the Noah's Project. But it's just going to be a fun day. We're going to have like a poker tournament. We're going to have cornhole. So with this huge space we have a very unique opportunity to just offer a ton of different events for 420.
If I could just chime in, Janet, and take a little bit of the light.
Absolutely.
Grassy Knolls is in Muskegon, and I just got to tip my hat to Muskegon. I don't know if Janet threw a dart at the dartboard or saw the future, but Muskegon is in a race to become the most cannabis-friendly municipality in the state. They have voted to allow the Mercy Health Arena downtown, the city-owned arena for consumption events. They voted for Marsh Field, the minor league baseball complex. This time next year, we expect the beach to be in play. The mayor himself, from his lips to my ear, has said everywhere there's alcohol in Muskegon, he wants cannabis. So this is a movement, if you will. So we really want to get, it's a vehicle. So we want to jump on that vehicle and ride it and help further carve out the space for events, because there's no, but if we can export that model to the rest of the municipalities, then we'll have a much bigger market and sandbox to play in. So I think they're being a model municipality. I cannot begin to tell you the level of cooperation and seamlessness, with their bureaucracy. I just can't, but it's clear that they are not just cannabis proponents, but they are all in. So if you're thinking about opening up or doing something, Muskegon is the place.
Right. And I should say that the mayor was actually at our grand opening for our dispensary. He was at our ribbon cutting event, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, they are all in.
Oh, I see Bill has his hand up.
I just want to say that I have the tremendous pleasure and honest to be Michael Webster. About 10 minutes ago, he is now accepting credit cards for his company. Okay, the bank approved him, and he is now ready to rock and roll.
Thank you.
It's an honor to work with such an outstanding young man.
Congratulations.
I'm really, really happy. Okay.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Yeah. It's a perfect segue. I sat in on New York Cannabis Live, the virtual conference this morning, and one of the panels was about banking, and some of the brightest minds at the intersection of cannabis and banking don't paint the rosiest picture, but with folks like Bill and others finding creative solutions, there's hope for us, not just for the future, but for now. So I want to thank Bill for helping me find that merchant solution. And I would argue that others who are in the market for a merchant solution, please talk to Bill.
Any other folks want to leap in and announce something?
Well, I'll jump in real quick and announce, because I always got something going on. I actually have events at least twice a month. April for 420, we're doing a wine and weed. Wednesday event. We're actually gonna put out the flyer actually tomorrow because we said April 1st. And every month I do, this is for women only, but I do a event that we call Girls Trip. It's every month on the full moon, and we educate you on the psychedelics. There is cannabis infusion involved and more. And then every other month, I do a 4-course dinner party. So the next 4-course dinner party won't be until May, but make sure you guys follow me because some days I wake up and I think of an event and then I have it.
Yeah.
Spontaneous event. I love it.
All right. Anybody else? Well, let me leap in real quick then. One of my many hats is I'm also the editor of Michigan Marijuana Report, MICHiGO.com. And then we do a live streaming show on Wednesday with Rick Thompson, Jamie Cooper, and Dan Spiro called 420 Posts. So if any of you have news that you want to share, email me with that news and we might get you an opportunity to get you on our streaming video show. We have a lot of people that watch that. And then afterwards, we produce it on demand. So for those who have missed it or want to view it again, they can do so. But MIMarijuanaReport.com, just Mike at MIMarijuanaReport.com will get that to me. And then we'll be happy to share your news. We have 4,000 or 5,000 people a week read our newsletter, and we're starting to really build the audience nicely. I reach 40,000 people on Facebook because we are news. I have relationships with many of the cannabis and hemp related Facebook pages that allow me to post to them. I can do it. It's been a long day. But again, we reach a big audience, and if you want to share your news with our audience, share that with me and we'll take care of that.
Thank you, Mike, for hosting tonight. I really appreciate you. I again appreciate you taking over that communication lead role for MICHiGO. It's obvious that you're going to be great at it.
Right? You know,
yes. So thank you so much for your time and also for your partnership with the organization and 420 Post. And we appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who came out tonight. I think this is the best meeting we've had so far. So look forward next month to Elizabeth Becker from High B&B coming to speak with us. And anybody have any final thoughts before we head out?
I just wanted to say thanks a lot, Mike, for both for moderating and also for hosting us on your Zoom.